You know that feeling, right? You're totally focused. You're deep in your work, you're in the zone, and then, ding, or a buzz, a little flash of light from your screen. And just like that, poof, everything else is gone. Your brain feels this, I don't know, this almost physical pull to just look. But why? What is it about that tiny little sound that's so powerful? Seriously, is it just us? Is it a lack of willpower? Or is there something way deeper going on? Something that's actually designed to make that little sound impossible to resist? Well, let's dive into this, because the answer is pretty fascinating, and it has everything to do with how our brains are wired. So, the first piece of this puzzle, believe it or not, isn't found in some Silicon Valley tech lab. Nope. We have to go back over a century to a psychology lab. It all starts with a famous scientist, a few dogs, and the sound of a bell. I'm sure you've heard of Pavlov's dogs. It's a classic experiment. It went something like this. Every single time the dogs were about to be fed, a researcher would ring a bell, and they did this over and over again. Eventually, their brains made such a strong connection that just the sound of the bell, with absolutely no food around, was enough to make them start salivating. Wild, right? They've been conditioned to have a completely physical reaction to a totally neutral sound. Okay, and here's where it gets really interesting. Look at how perfectly this maps onto our own lives. For the dog, the bell was the cue, right? It meant food was coming. For us, that little ding or buzz from our phone, that's our bell. Now, our reward isn't a steak dinner, but it's a potential social connection, a piece of juicy gossip, a like on our latest photo. And the response? Well, we don't salivate, but it's just as physical. We get a little rush of a pleasure chemical in our brain called dopamine. We've basically been trained just like Pavlov's dogs. But that sound, that Pavlovian bell, it's only half the story. I mean, it's the trigger for sure, but it's not what makes this whole thing so incredibly sticky. To really get it, we need to look at what our phones have actually become, a powerful psychological engine we carry around in our pockets. Read that again. The key word here, the magic word, is might. It's not the certainty of a reward that gets us, it's the possibility of one. And that simple principle of uncertainty is what makes another type of machine so incredibly captivating. Think about a slot machine in Vegas. If you knew it would pay out every single time you pulled the lever, it would get boring really fast. And if it never paid out, you'd just walk away. The addiction, the thrill, it comes from the chance of winning. Every pull could be the jackpot. Well, your phone is a pocket-sized slot machine. Every time you pick it up, you're pulling the lever. Will it be junk mail or a life-changing text? You just never know. And that unpredictability is what keeps you coming back for more. So we have these two incredibly powerful psychological forces working together. We've got a conditioned sound that triggers a physical response, and we've got an unpredictable reward system that keeps us totally hooked. So let's see how these two things combine to build a habit loop that is just nearly impossible to break. And here it is, the whole shebang. It all starts with the cue, that Pavlovian ding or buzz, that immediately, almost unconsciously, triggers the routine. You pick up your phone and check it. And you're doing this in search of the reward, which, as we know, is totally variable and unpredictable. It might be amazing, it might be nothing. This loop, when you repeat it hundreds of times a day, forges a really powerful automated habit right inside your brain. And this, right here, is probably the most important thing to understand. That compulsion you feel to check your phone, it is not a personal failing. It's not a character flaw. It's the result of a system that has been expertly, intentionally designed to leverage these deep-seated psychological principles. These habit loops are literally built into the foundation of the apps we use every day, all to keep us scrolling, tapping, and engaging. But, okay, here's the good news. Just understanding how this trap works is the first and honestly the most critical step to escaping it. The second you become conscious of a habit that was unconscious, that's when you start to get your power back. So, how do we do that? We're going to try a simple but, trust me, incredibly effective little activity. For just one day, that's it, 24 hours. We're not going to try to change a single thing about our behavior. We're just going to notice. We're going to become detectives of our own notifications. So for the next 24 hours, every time your phone makes a sound, just make a quick note and then try to categorize it. Was it genuinely helpful, like a calendar reminder for a meeting you'd otherwise forget? Was it social, a real message from a real person? Or was it the hook, an app just trying to lure you back in with some vague update, like so-and-so posted for the first time in a while? This little exercise brilliantly reveals the real purpose behind each alert.
And again, the point here isn't to judge yourself or to immediately go and turn off all your notifications. The real power of this exercise is just in the act of noticing. The moment you pause and you ask yourself, wait, what was that for? You're breaking that automatic cue, routine, reward loop. You're interrupting the pattern. You go from being a passenger to being the driver again.
So give it a shot. Just track your alerts for one day. And at the end of those 24 hours, look at your list and ask yourself this one simple question. Which of these alerts are actually serving me, and which ones are just pulling the lever on that little pocket slot machine one more time? I promise you, the answer might just change how you see your phone forever.